better as a result of social media presence.
If it doesn't do those three things, then it's on the chopping block.
It's a return on investment discussion.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm your host, Sam Dark, and back with me, co-hosting today is the one, the only, the Yuli DiMartino. What's up, Yuli?
What's up, Sam?
Welcome
Happy
back.
to be here.
Excited to have you back. And you know what? Drive for Life, Ziegler Auto Group's Drive for Life 2025 is in the books. Huge props to Yossi and many of the team from CDG for coming out to that charity event. We raised over $1 million to benefit local Michigan-based, Illinois-based charities. Heck of a lot of fun last night. Yuli, you got to come next year. We're going to get you out.
I'm in.
It would be it'd be fun to celebrate alongside you. And an auction is fun. Have you ever tried auctioneering, speaking as fast as an auctioneer speaks?
No, but it's always actually been a super fascinating thing for me.
I got to tell you, obviously we do the show. We speak well. We speak good. That's my joke, right?
Yeah.
And you would assume I could be able to auctioneer. I can't talk that fast. I cannot do
Those
that.
Micro
Those
Machines guys.
Yeah,
Remember
they've
them?
got like a very unique skill set. And speaking of skill set, Yuli, a reminder to everybody watching, we're live across all CDG social media platforms. Post your comments into today's show. And actually, let's start it out today with tell us where you're watching from.
Yeah.
Last show on Wednesday, we had someone from the American Airlines terminal in Boston watching. Thank you. Wherever you are part of something unique and special in all of automotive. We talk about this a lot. This, in many ways, is the voice of automotive. It's the best place to get your news. It's the best place to stay up to date on issues and items relative to automotive. And speaking of that, what a show we've got today. Dave Thomas with CDK is coming on. We're going to talk canaries in coal mines, Yuli. We're going to talk about what does the future of automotive look like in new and used sales for the next 6 months. And maybe we'll even talk some data ownership as it relates to CDK. And then we've got a fixed ops director in to talk about untapped fixed ops revenue, McGovern, coming up. But first, before we go there, let's dive into today's news headlines. All right, first up today, California's plans to replace the expiring $7,500 federal EV tax credit has collapsed. Shocker. With Governor Gavin Newsom saying budget deficits make state subsidies, quote, no longer feasible. How is this a news item? Like, California should have realized that. By the way, Lauren Klein, thank you, listening while on vacation in Cancun. So we are being live streamed in Cancun, Mexico. Lauren, we wish we were there alongside you. That means residents in California, the nation's largest EV market, will have to absorb the $7,500 gap themselves once the credit ends September 30th. Yeah, with everyone else in the entire country. At a recent press conference in San Francisco, Newsom said, quote, we can't make up for federal vandalism of those tax. You know what? This is ridiculous. The federal vandalism of those tax credits, the state will support expanding EV infrastructure, but not the direct subsidies that we cannot make up for. Right. They can't. And the federal government shouldn't. Newsom also blasted Detroit automakers for undermining California's EV mandates, singling out GM, quote, Mary Barra sold us out, close quote. He said, referencing lobbying against California's zero-emission goals, bottom line, without state-level subsidies, EV adoption in California could slow sharply, putting pressure on automakers to cut costs, boost affordability, and double down on infrastructure. Yuli, stop me. I don't want to give any editorial comment on the ridiculousness of this news item.
Take a breath.
Should we just go to the next one?
Let's go to the next
one.
one.
The federal subsidies on EVs was ludicrous, insane, and made no sense. It caused inflation, right? It sped up adoption. It caused automakers to pivot. It's a reason why we have fewer models coming up in the coming years. We'll get to normal. You know what? Never mind. I promised I would
Don't
not.
forget the brownouts, the rolling brownouts from everyone plugging their cars in at once in a state that can't handle it. So
yeah. Cole adds to social media. He says, "Don't hate the player, hate the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game." Appreciate your comment, Cole. Thanks for posting up again. Everybody, tell us where you're watching from. Next up today, CDGBuySell.com news alert. Go to CDGBuySell.com for all your updates on buy-sell activity. Jeff Swickert, CEO of Swickert Auto Group, has purchased BMW of Portland from Lithia Motors. Lithia is divesting, including the dealership's real estate, in what he calls a personal and professional investment in the city's future. The move comes just months after Swickert bought Portland's landmark Big Pink U.S. Bank Corp Tower, bringing his total Portland investment to more than $110 million in the past 6 months.
Wow.
According to Swickert, quote, BMW of Portland has incredible potential, and we are committed to making it one of the top BMW dealerships in the country, reaffirming his confidence in Portland as at a time when many businesses are pulling back. And don't forget, you can see this deal announcement and many more throughout the entire year on the CDG Buy Sell Tracker at cdgbuysell.com. Our own Michelle reports watching from DTW before taking off. Michelle, Yossi, and the entire team, safe travels. Thanks for coming to Kalamazoo to, again, participate in our event. Next up in news today, BMW is recalling nearly 200,000 vehicles in the U.S., including more than 1,000 Toyota Supras, due to engine starter relays that can corrode, overheat, and potentially cause a fire, according to federal regulators. The recall covers multiple BMW models from 2019 through 2022, with the NHTSA advising owners to park outside and away from structures until repairs are made. By the way, you got to love some of the side commentary on some of these recalls. Dealers will replace the part free of charge, of course, once available, and owner notifications will go out beginning November 14th. Until then, please park it outside. I got to ask a question, Yuli. Maybe I should know this. Somebody should chat GPT it. Does BMW make Toyota Supras? They don't have anything.
They make the
Supras,
engine in the Toyota Supra. Yeah.
There you
sure.
go. All right.
Mm-hmm. It's the Z4, if I'm not mistaken. The BMW Z4 and the Toyota Supra are twinsies.
Very good. All right, to our GM of the BMW store, he's going to give me a hard time for not knowing that off the top of my head. Yuli, I should have known. But to our audience, to find out exactly which 9 models are affected by this recall, head over to the CDG Recalls Tracker, powered by BusyCar at cdgrecalls.com. What other news source, by the way, can you go to for up-to-date news, all the buy-sell tracker, all the recall stuff? But here, again,
doesn't exist. It's just us.
Thanks for watching and being part of this. All right, next up today, a new CCC Intelligent Solutions report shows the average vehicle repair bill has climbed above $4,700. That's up nearly 4% year over year, with higher labor rates and more expensive parts fueling the increase. Hence the reason for vehicle service contracts. Parts prices, which had been flat in 22 to 23, jumped more than 4% this spring, while labor rates rose over 3%, adding to pressure on consumers and insurers alike. Diagnostics and calibrations are also extending cycle times. Repairs that require multiple calibrations now take more than 17 days on average, compared to 13 days when no calibration is needed. That's an extra 4 days as a percent. That's big. And more than 70% of vehicles declared total losses in 2024 were 7 years or older, reflecting both an aging fleet and falling used car values. As the report puts it, vehicle repair costs, like other ownership expenses, have fundamentally shifted in structure, creating unseen financial pressures for consumers already working hard to make ends meet. You know what the solution here is for this, Yuli, and it makes me happy and should make all of automotive happy. Vehicle service contract. So there you go, your pen rate on VSC. And then great business for fixed ops. Lauren Klein says no, but they have engine components from BMW. Lauren, thanks for being for watching and for noticing and for commenting. We appreciate it. So, and that's a wrap on today's news this Friday, September 26th. All right, Yuli, we've talked about this a lot. We'll spend 2 seconds on this. If you are a dealer and you have a viewpoint you'd love to share with us here, go to our submission form at cdgguest.com to fill out the intake. You'll meet Michelle, you'll meet Hannah and others on the team. They'll talk to you, learn about your perspective, and we'd love to have you on the show. Which also brings us to another point. It's funny because I've actually had some friends, Yuli, that are like, hey, can you get me into the car dealership guy NADA party? They don't even want to go. They don't even want to go through the. They don't even want to go through the submission thing. Dennis, we are going to get you into the party. You are in, but you got to fill out the form. All right. Car Dealership Guy is back with our second annual NADA party happening in Las Vegas on Thursday, February 5th. It is the single hottest ticket at NADA 2026 with special guests, top personalities. To be considered for a formal invite, hit the link in the show notes, request to join, and fill out a questionnaire. Spots are limited, and unfortunately, we can't invite everybody. So RSVP today, and we hope we'll see you in Vegas. Yuli, why don't we have a snazzy website? We have the CDG buy sell tracker. We have the recall website. We need an NADA site, so I don't have to reference the link. Let's look into that,
Yossi's listening, so I'm sure he's going to spin it up right now.
Yossi, we need a site. We need a site. Hannah Farmer pipes in here. It's going to be the party of the year. And what I love about anything put on by CDG, if you want to be somewhere where you've got forward thinking, next gen, like trying to figure out what's automotive going to be the future, what does the future look like in automotive, this is the spot, especially at NADA. Dennis Gingrich pipes in. He says, thank you. Sorry, Dennis. I didn't have a chance to respond to your text, but I'm glad you're on here. And he says, I will. So we're excited to have you. All right. Let's transition. Let's go to CDK. First up today, Director of Content Marketing at CDK Global, Dave Thomas. Dave, I promise no Wendy's jokes. Where's the beef? I'm not going to ask it. Sorry. I had to do it.
Hey, Dave. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Welcome to the show. We appreciate you being back and joining us again. So let's ask, how's biz in your world, however you define that, and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Dave.
Biz is busy on the research and insight side here at CDK. We have a number of studies just out on the market on F&I and some others. We have EV and service coming up. So my world is quite busy. And so that's great. Personally, I've been in the auto biz for about 20 years. I started off on the editorial side at cars.com as managing editor there for 10 years. Then went to an agency, worked on the OEM side, and now I'm working with dealers at CDK.
That's awesome. Well, we're glad you're there. We're glad that you're here on the show joining us. We want to go to a post first off that you recently put out there into the world on LinkedIn. CarMax recently reported its quarterly earnings. They disappointed. It actually led to, I think, the largest decline in stock share in the past 5 years. And you said, quote, CarMax may be a canary in the coal mine when it comes to Q3 sales. Tell us and our audience a little bit about what you mean by that and what you think the forecast should look like with CarMax and automotive overall, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's a really early example of just how significant the pull forward is in demand that we're seeing based on shoppers on the tariff and EV news. And so CarMax being on the used side, obviously isn't directly related to tariffs because they don't directly hit the MSRP on a used car, but it all filters down. Used car prices are going to go up as well, and they are. So the fact that they're off, and it was a surprise. They were not expecting this, and I think all of Wall Street was surprised by it. And I think there's a little bit to it, and I'd love to hear your feedback from both of you. And I didn't really think about it until this morning, but listening to your show and listening to other dealers I talked to, they are doing everything they can to get used inventory. And I think they're beating CarMax a little bit. So I think this rise in the emphasis on used among franchise dealers is probably one of the reasons that CarMax had a little bit of trouble in Q3. And we'll talk about EVs in a second, but Q4 is, I mean, this is really, when we shift into October, this Q4 is going to not be pretty until we kind of stabilize and recover from all that pulled forward demand.
What do you expect CarMax to do to have a better next quarter? Do you think they'll become more competitive in their used car acquisitions? Do you think that's going to be a little bit of a challenge? I mean, for car dealers watching this show September 26th, what do you expect to see from CarMax in the coming quarter on acquisition and sales used?
Yeah, well, I'm not a CarMax expert, but to your point, I don't think they're going to sit back. Expect, that machine they've built in terms of acquisition that is, almost a gold standard, you would think, that many franchise dealers kind of want to emulate. They'll spin that back up as hard as they can. And it's going to be on the acquisition side. Every time I come into the office here, I drive by a car dealership row, right? Just like many towns have.
Yeah.
We're on the outside of Chicago here. So I go through Schaumburg. I'm sure you're familiar with it, Sam.
Oh, yeah. Hoffman Estates, Schaumburg, the whole area. Yeah. Gulf Road.
Yeah. There's a huge CarMax dealership. They're all huge. And over the past few months, it's really been the first time I've seen holes in that lot. Usually it's stacked completely, and you go by it in the past few months and it's not. So
you're seeing so many dealers adopt that strategy too, like just pulling a CarMax, which, like you said, is the gold standard,
Yeah.
and then trying to match or beat that offer with the customer right there. So I think you're right. You're going to see a compressed margin is better than no margin, right? So it's going to be a bumpy ride.
I'm curious, and maybe none of us are qualified to do this, but you said it surprised Wall Street, their results, right? So at the end of the month, when we think about all of our stores, like nobody should ever be surprised. Coming into the end of the month, we should know kind of where every store is going to sit. Like you don't ever see a huge profit or a huge decline that you don't expect. How can a public company like that so solidly shock Wall Street? And like, is it an attempt to hope for better market conditions? Isn't it? What drives that, in your opinion? Do you have any background to help with that?
So I've been doing this for about, like I said, about 20 years. Wall Street's good at a lot of things, and there's really smart people that know this industry. I don't know if they all know it as well as they think they know it. It is a fluid industry, especially on the retail side. And there's never, I can't recall, besides 08, with this tariff impact, there's never been something that's so pinpointed. Again, maybe the Great Recession and cash for clunkers, but besides that, nothing has had the impact of tariffs. And I think that's more mental. I think that's more of a mental thing on the car buyer side, but nothing's impacted like that. So not how those waves would impact someone like CarMax probably would be a surprise. And they don't listen to you guys, where we hear every time you talk. I would say it's got to be more than half the time you talk to a dealer, they're talking about their used acquisition.
Yeah, it has been a huge focus these past many months. And how do you get cars? How do you compete against CarMax? We saw for so long high appraisal values. So car dealers, franchise retail would allow a used car appraisal to go to CarMax because they could sell the new car on it. And maybe the benefit of this is maybe we'll see those used car values come more into line with market and whatnot. Yoga Cars comments, I taught Wall Street has satellite images to count cars, same as they do for Walmart parking lots. So that could be, what makes me happy though, Dave and Yuli, is that automotive is complicated enough that Wall Street can't guess it 100%, which that makes me happy because what we do is a little bit of a challenge. So do you think, well, let's talk EVs. Anything else you want to talk about with as it relates to CarMax, Dave? Any other insights or thoughts you have about it? Takeaways for auto dealers?
Well, I think when we go into the sales side of things and talk about EVs and going into September and this end of this incentive, it's all about that pull forward demand. And I listen to you guys, like I said, all the time. And when you think about EVs in the market and what we're going to see, what gets talked a lot about is a narrative. But with EVs, we talk about nuance in all of auto sales. Nothing is more nuanced than the EV market. And I'll go through some of the points, and you'll bear with me. But the narrative is very strong. And I'll point to you, Sam. You say it sometimes. No one wants EVs. That's like kind of the narrative, right? It's a very strong narrative. The nuance is very different because if no one wanted EVs, they wouldn't be rushing out and getting them now while there's a value to them, right? You're still buying a very expensive product, even at $7,500. You're still buying, the second most important thing you'll ever buy. I joke in this housing market, it's the most expensive thing you'll ever buy now. So no one's going to take a leap just based on that incentive, right? They want that EV. So if we jump up to 12% or whatever it's at, 14% in this rush, and the average last year, the market share was 9%, we're going to fall really steeply in Q4. How steeply? Probably going to be like steep. It's going to be like 5-6% market share. It's going to be, but it's not going to stay there. People like EVs. And the nuance on these numbers is all the traditional automakers, EV sales are gaining. And who's losing? Tesla. So Tesla had such a high market share, they keep dropping by large percentages. The overall volume is coming down really significantly. So it's kind of this battle of the gains the traditional ones are making against the losses of Tesla. And that's hurting as all this other stuff is going on with the incentive expiring. So you're going to see numbers. They are nuanced numbers. And that's something to kind of remember as we go out when we come out of Q4. Q4 won't be nuanced. Q4 is going to be bad.
Yeah. There will be a normalized demand for EVs. And my frustration with the EV debate is that the federal government created fake demand, and they were trying to create infrastructure behind it. And to your point, in doing that, they've kind of pulled it ahead. It'll end up somewhere in between. I do think, don't you think it's not going to fall off the cliff that everybody thinks? There will be some sort of normal. It feels like, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think
Next year.
I think it's going to go back to 9%. I don't think this the $7,500 thing's coming at a weird time. The Tesla thing's going to hurt, but there's this other element, and I've talked to Yossi about it before. There's still not a lot of EV products on the market. Most automakers have maybe 2 or 3 in their mix at most. There's some others that are doing more, but they got 2 or 3. There's not a lot of affordable ones yet that do what people need them to do.
Yeah.
And those are coming. The Nissan Leaf, the new Nissan Leaf being the first one, and Nissan's moved that very quickly through at that 30,000 price point, trying to, land at this moment when they need it to. And so the $30,000 car is a volume car, right? $40,000 to $50,000 EV is not. So if we bring more of these volume EVs, that's right. That market share is going to grow. And Kia has an EV4 that's similar. We don't know the exact price, but it'll be in that 30 range ish. And that'll be out next year. And so, as we get more of these products that cater to more people, it will stabilize. And I think it will still hit that 9%, even with what's happening at Tesla and even with the incentive going away.
So you've got this EV shopper study. When's it released?
As fast as we can get it done.
Okay.
we have a terrific research team here, and they are firing on all cylinders. Like I said, we just had an F&I study come out. We have this workplace study that just came out. And so EV is next on the docket. We have a great service shopper study also coming out in the future. So I can give you some sneak peeks of what the EV study says.
Give us one data point. Is there one or two data points that would surprise people?
Yeah, the biggest data point is going to unfortunately reinforce that narrative that no one wants EVs. We survey in this shopper study not just the EV, and I'll battle it a little bit. We study not just the people shopping for EVs, but also gas and hybrids, right? We want to see the comparison and where it all lands, because that's the market.
Yep.
So the gas shopper. Last year, 3 out of 10 gas shoppers said they'd buy an EV eventually. They'd buy one in the future. Okay, so someone going to get a big SUV that runs on gases, 3 out of 10 of those people said they buy an EV in the future. That number this year is 1 out of 10. It is a huge drop. The hybrid shoppers, which was about 50%, said they buy an EV in the future. It's now in the 30% range. So that is where that narrative makes an impact, right? That EVs aren't for you. Those gas shoppers seem to be believing it, even as each EV that comes out is more capable, more affordable, and EVs are honestly they're great cars.
You surveyed gas shoppers, correct? That's what you said.
All 3: EV, hybrid, and gas. Yes, and
I was going to say, because isn't it true that then the gas shoppers bought EVs, so there's less in the market? But
we also do that, right? So we have an EV owner study. We put it out over the summer. 80% of people that own EVs are going to buy another one. So that's the other part of that growth where you're going to see that market share maintain, because they're going to buy a car in 3 to 5 years and it's going to be an EV. So in this study, the people out shopping for EVs, right, 50% or over 50%, I should say, are shopping for a new EV to match with one they already have. So they are going all in on the EV. So this is probably the most important part of that nuance of EVs. Once someone's got one, they love them. And
isn't it also important, to differentiate the buyer? You're talking about nuance. On the used car side of things, for a used EV, I think the buyer of that car is completely different than a traditional used car buyer, because my opinion, it's less about mileage and more about something like battery health, right? So it's like you have a super pointed, passionate shopper who thinks, and I'll agree, is highly informed on the decision.
Yep.
So this is one of those things that I think dealers need to be on the lookout for. There's more to that second market, that used EV market.
Yeah, and it's the used EV market's really intriguing. And so when I used to, talk to when I was at cars.com, and my job was to, give advice to car shoppers. And so the thing you would say about the knock on a used car is you don't know who owned it before and how they treated that used car. That was always my thing. It's like, if you can afford the new car and it's not a big trade-off, you got a warranty, no one's ever, gunned it, and gone over potholes at 100 miles an hour. You just don't know what they've done to that car, right? No matter what the Carfax, you don't know. An EV, in the way that transmission, there is no transmission, and the way that motor work, it's very hard to be hard on an EV. So even if they have higher mileage, which, by the way, EV drivers drive more than gas drivers, right? So the used mileage on EVs is usually much higher.
Wait, is this a fact? I didn't know
Oh, yeah.
that.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
EV drivers put more miles on the EVs. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Trying to
those,
bring that cost per mile down, right?
right. And that's a big, and now a lot of them are rideshare, drivers, and they want to get the most out of that. That's definitely some of them, but it's overall. And when we do our owner study, it proves out they have the longest commutes, and we track the road trips, and they're doing more road trips than they used to, at much longer distances.
Wow.
So before we transition into the workplace study, we want to hit that just briefly here. Just two things on EVs. Number one, as EV credits expire, for used car managers, dealers that are listening to the show today, what would your advice be based on your survey in acquiring and selling EVs in today's market, new and used, by the way? And then, is there any myths that's still suppressing demand a little bit in that EV marketplace, according to your survey? And then we'll switch to the workplace.
Yeah, let's tackle the myth first. Is that you're going to run out of range? We can talk about battery replacement, which doesn't really exist. Most people's use cases will never experience battery replacement.
Yeah.
But the range thing, I mean, most modern EVs have 250 miles of range, if not more. Just think about that. You're not doing that type of driving in your daily week. Maybe you're in sales and you do that much driving. Fine, that's an outlier, right? So the average commutes 20, that we saw for EV owners is about 20 miles a day. And so and that was more than the gas owner. So you're not going to run out of that range. It's not going to be this. And when I was a car time, we bought the first Nissan Leaf, one of the first Nissan Leafs in the country, had 80 miles of range. That was white knuckling all the time.
Yeah. I had one too. So
right, and we don't have that that it just doesn't exist in a modern EV.
So you would say range anxiety is overplayed, that people have plenty of mileage they can go before they have an issue on charging. That's interesting. And then what advice would you give to dealers looking to sell EVs for the rest of this year? Rebates expire, unsupported by government subsidies, which I love that. And now market comes into play. How should I stock and think about selling EVs?
So the selling point on used EVs, no matter what the incentive is you're going to get way more value of that vehicle than you would buying a used, let's say, Honda Accord or something like that. You're going to be getting at a similar price like a Polestar 2. I mean, you're going to get like near luxury. They're decked out with technology. For the most part, they're newer. And they just have lots of bells and whistles. They're impressive. It probably won't feel like you're like settling on a used car, let's say, right? Like you are getting something that feels very tech forward. And so on that used side they're just cool. Like, and when you think of like used shopping, like if you're a used car shopper, it's like, are you really thinking you're going for something cool, or you're going to get something to get you from A to B, right? I mean, obviously you can get used, luxury and sports cars, but for the most part, it is a very unique product.
Yeah. All right. So just a couple comments online, then we'll go to the survey. So PSI Max says they love them if they don't live in a multifamily dwelling. I think homeowners with garages see a lot of benefits because infrastructure is still a challenge. Morgan Bird says, check out our F&I shopper study. I think you probably know Morgan at cdkglobal.com/insights. Jay Lasco says, follow-up question for the people taking the survey saying they will buy another EV. If the payment is $100 or more per month for a similar vehicle, would you still buy the EV again? And that's a great question going to the government subsidy support. Actually, how would you answer that, Dave? $100, does it make a difference?
No, they're shopping for that vehicle, and it's not. I don't know. On the lease side, it's a completely different conversation because of the lease rate. So you're going to see talk about a hit. The lease hit's going to be remarkable. But no, if you're shopping and you're going to own, and for the most part, they want to own the car. They're choosing lease because it's just a terrific deal. But for the most part, they want to own it. So they're shopping like anyone else. It's a $40,000 car. 6-year term, 4%. They're just that's what they're shopping. There's no difference there. Now, do they tend to be a little higher income and higher education, all those things? Yeah, just like similar to luxury shoppers.
Yeah. All right, let's transition to the workplace study in just the final couple minutes we have left. Job satisfaction, according to your workforce survey, jumped to 82%. What changed on the ground inside stores to drive that jump? And actually, where did it start? I don't have a context number for that.
I believe it was 78. You're gonna
okay.
4 points. It was in the high 70s. Yeah. So it was good. I think the national average is in the 80s. So now it's right on par with the national average in terms of job satisfaction. And I think what's changed, I don't think it's actually changed that much, probably in terms of what dealers are doing. We saw some changes. We added a new question this year about stress. And that was probably the most interesting thing because, again, we listen to dealers all the time, listen to your show all the time.
Yeah.
And a dealer will say, I can't focus on the broad economic stories happening. I don't control it. I can control what's happening at my store. Control the control.
Yeah.
Hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The employees, the number one stress they have is economic uncertainty. It is what's going on in the world. And that tops bad customers. So a bad customer stresses them less than the economy. So the real thing, the point I want to get across, with this study is, dealers doing a great job satisfaction, but just to know where their their employees' heads are at. And number 3 after the customers was the future of the auto industry. So the employees are really focused on what's going on. And they're going to,
when was this survey done? When was the survey done?
I want to say it was about 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah.
Oh, so I mean, tariff time. You want to talk about economic uncertainty? Wow.
Well, what strikes me about the results of this survey, though, is what is the difference between a dealer being able to kind of tune out the uncertainty? I think most dealers see economic opportunity in uncertainty. Yeah. Employees have a challenge because they can buy off in it. It's poor leadership if you can't convey that certainty in times of uncertainty. Because in automotive, there's opportunity in moments of change and uncertainty that doesn't exist when things are just straight left, which that's a myth anyway. There's no economic time that's just flat, right? But it's interesting to me because, the future of automotive, that's been a concern since I got into the business in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Like we've always been talking about this, Dave. So what makes now and these results so applicable to today? And what is a takeaway for a dealer reading this workforce survey?
For them, I think it is to see like the core, what people say are the reasons they are satisfied. And so
lean into that.
Yeah. And number 1 was the people they worked with. And that topped compensation, which was number 2. So even for an industry that really focuses on how much money you make, it really was that camaraderie in the dealership, which last year didn't shine through as much. And because we hear dealers talk about that quite a bit. And so we were like, that didn't shine. This year it did. So that's really positive. The thing that another kind of thing that we thought was interesting is, working a dealership is very unique. Long hours, kind of you're dealing with customers, all those types of things. You can't work from home. Flexibility is a little less than other places. So that did hurt how many people would recommend the career to someone else. Only a quarter of employees would say they'd recommend to friends and family a job in automotive retail. So I don't think that's, saying something bad about the industry. I think it's this reality. It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
but it's
Yeah.
it's nice to see that confirmation.
Well, Director of Content Marketing, CDK Global, Dave Thomas, we absolutely appreciate you being on the show. One last comment posted. Actually, there were multiple to ask this. Ariel Pereira said, can you post this survey? So, Ariel, just as a reminder, you can go to cdkglobal.com/insights. And Dave, we'd love to have you back to talk about any of these data points or others. Just one takeaway. It came into my head, right? Dealers see opportunity and uncertainty. Employees sometimes have tougher. It's on us as leadership to convey that certainty and that sense of opportunity where it exists and help keep teams focused on the mission. And I think when people are focused on that mission, we become better at what we do, Dave. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think you said it great. Yeah.
Dave Thomas, thanks for being on the show, sharing your perspectives.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
That's a fun conversation. A ton of comments online as we go through it. Let's talk Toma here for a moment. Most voice AIs frustrate consumers and waste everyone's time. Only Toma customizes AI agents to your dealership so calls can actually get resolved. That's why top dealer groups trust Toma to automate their phones. Visit toma.com/CDG to learn more. You can also scan the QR code there and go straight to that. Toma, thank you for supporting today's content, including these cool insights we got from Dave and the team at CDK today. Toma, thanks for your supporting the show. And Morgan Bird was quick to pop out. Ariel, you can go here to find the survey. Dennis, well, I love it when Dennis pipes in. Thanks for listening and watching. Hopefully both you and Tully are dialed in, but ton of comments in the link today. Preach, Sam. Thank you, Dennis. We appreciate it. And then Ariel post back, Morgan Bird. Thank you. All right, let's go to Danny Negalha, Director of Fixed Ops at McGovern Automotive Group. Danny, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on.
Danny.
We appreciate you being on. We love it when Fixed Ops folks come on and join the show, especially on our Fixed Ops Friday. We're going to brand that at some point here. I think Yossi's going to get us a cool new jingle because Fixed Ops is so key and crucial to our success currently in automotive and our future success. In fact, just here at Ziegler, we just graduated a group of aspiring technicians today in the Kalamazoo marketplace. So we're excited about that. But before we go into that, Danny, let's talk about how's biz in your world. And as part of that, would you just tell us a little bit about yourself? How's biz, Danny?
Business has been great. I think we've definitely grown year over year in terms of the controllable areas that we can revenue-wise. We've seen some really nice growth in our customer pay business as well as our internal business. So that's been all positives. As a matter of fact, we've jumped about 17 spots nationally among the top 150 groups, 32nd in parts, service, and fixed revenue. So we're excited about that. Business has been good.
So if you had to point to one thing, Danny, that other dealers could learn from in fixed ops that's caused that increase, what would that one thing be?
I think implementing continuous process and improvement strategies have definitely contributed to that. Having that competitive advantage. And, with that said, is enhanced customer satisfaction. I think those all will lead to more revenue and being efficient in what you do.
So you have a lot of rooftops. Tell us how many rooftops you have. And then I'm going to ask what's one process. Tell us how many rooftops first.
We have 34 rooftops and 2 more pending. Today was the 34th.
Okay. Congratulations. Are the pending ones you can talk about? Is that public yet?
We sure can. Yeah. We, if not sure if you heard about Grapponi. Grapponi's a 100-year dealer group in New Hampshire. So we'll be acquiring our 3rd Toyota store and our 7th Hyundai store. So
nice.
Very cool.
We've grown quite a bit over the last couple of years.
Very good brands. We should have announced that today on the CDG buyselltracker.com deal. So we'll
happy to add us next time.
Yeah, we'll make sure to catch it on the next show. All right. So you mentioned execution and processes helped increase, helped you see that increase this year. What's one process other dealers could learn from that you feel like you've really executed well on in the fixed ops arena at your stores?
I think this all started, back during COVID and then post-COVID, staying ahead in technology and process innovation. I think that sets dealers apart. And by providing a significant competitive edge in that market. So utilizing, it's been a tsunami of technology over the years, as you know. So we took that time to maximize the platforms that we have that are digital, which means installing, your video when your multimedia, enhanced multimedia video, photos, text utilization, catering to the customers what they need. And by getting the buy-in of employees, we've seen, some really good trends in revenue growth. Like I was saying earlier, the controllables, maximizing those opportunities over the past several years have now come into fruition. And we've seen some positive growth in that area.
So is there anyone that you're using to deliver that video MPI? Are you using one vendor across all your stores? Are you doing it in-house? Are you using disparate vendors?
So we're, talking about technology, we're big with Xtime. We're big Xtime users. All of our stores are on Xtime. And we've been Xtime users since the beginning of our group in 2016. With that said, we've transitioned into the AI phone reception. So we've installed Mia, who's been a big factor to our group most recently. We now have 12 of our 34 stores installed, and it's definitely going to bring some positive insight into being more efficient to our customers and that relationship growth.
Danny, as you considered implementing voice AI into your processes, you're a big group. You obviously have teams that execute really well. What went into that thought process, and what concerns did you have about potentially going to voice AI? And were they allayed as you started to kick it off across the different stores?
Well, looking at, utilizing our data analytics, understanding what those would be for strategic planning. So the amount of turnover, in the BDC workforce and the locations that we have, we're higher than what we wanted them to be. So once we embraced the MIA technology, we looked at saying, why don't we don't want to be obsolete in a year, especially, with such a fast moving environment with the AI field. So it was beneficial to us to take on a company that's already been somewhat established with the bigger groups and be able to fill those positions a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently. So the concerns were, how were customers going to react to them? But because this product feels like you're speaking to someone so naturally, and they can customize what you want based on the culture and what McGovern feels is best from a customer perspective, we've been very comfortable with it, and it's really been a great tool for us.
So Yoga Cars asks a great question. They say, Yoga Cars says, do you use it full time or off hours only, the Mia voice?
So right now we're using it full time at the 12 stores. It takes the first call, and then it's also 24/7. So the after hours calls are also answered. And we've seen an uptick in appointments and shown appointments, which has led to more revenue for those after hour calls.
And so you don't have it in all your stores. Are you looking to potentially roll it out to the rest of them, or are you happy with where they are? Do some OEMs align better with that voice technology than others, or is your intent to roll it out across the group?
So right now we have several like OEMs that have been pretty consistent. What I've noticed is the bookable rate is better with some OEMs, but the technology has also been with that OEM a little bit longer, which means that it's learned a lot more. So the goal is to continue to roll them out across the stores. Would want to make a point that we're not looking to replace any BDC members or the workforce. What we're trying to do is, if we do have somebody that turns over, we're just not going to replace that person because we feel that this will be a more efficient process based on what it can do. And there's no emotional attachment to it. It doesn't take any emotions in fact when a customer's yelling at it. So
yeah. All right. I have a question about a specific OEM you have, but I got to let our audience have a few questions because there's a ton coming in on this. So Yoga Car says, Lauren Klein says, is Mia handling inbound only, or is she doing outbound calls as well? That's a great question.
That's one of the reasons why we wanted to work with Mia. So she's handling all inbound calls, and she has the capability to offer outbound calls. For example, we can give her a list after hours or whatever time we dedicate it to, and tell her to call these 100 customers with a template and say, please call these customers for recalls, or please do a CSI follow-up for these customers. Whatever it is that we want to cater to, she will do. and she can pretty much handle it within minutes.
Interesting. So you have Ferrari.
We do.
Does Ferrari use voice? Do you use voice AI in fixed ops for Ferrari, or is that more of a customized experience? We have one as well, and I wouldn't imagine you'd do it. But
No, so good point. We definitely haven't rolled out at Ferrari, and I think that's a whole different brand when it comes to
yes,
things like this. As you know, they're the brand that doesn't want a text or a video or a photo. They want to be spoken to, and they want that personal level of experience. So I don't think we'll be rolling out of them.
What about Benz?
Benz, I think we will. I think we definitely will. We have Mercedes-Benz in New Jersey. I think that it might not be the first ring, but it could very well be the third or fourth ring, which will allow that overflow of calls to get that bookable rate where we need to be.
Brando asks, what's your upsell strategy for booked appointments?
So that's a great question. Right now, I don't have an ROI or what that is, but I believe that the focus on doing the outbound initiatives is where we're going to get that upsell on this technology platform. I think that's something that will probably will be dialed in, where Mia could take a look at previously declined services and what the recommendation is for the services that we offer. And I think that's still a work in process, but that's a great question.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And just to our audience, this is not a paid advertisement for any voice AI technology, but I am fascinated by it. We had a group of CEOs on, we talked tech, and it's interesting. There's some early adopters. There's some folks in automotive that are super hesitant to adopt. You're a large group. You've gone in on a voice AI, and I don't know. We're so quick to adopt and execute in automotive. It's tough to see that fully replacing a human being. And yet, when you look at the stats on how horribly in automotive we pick up the phone and respond and actually resolve the customer's reason for calling,
especially in service,
AI makes sense. Yeah, especially in service,
Yes.
It makes sense. Did that play part into your calculus in saying, "Hey, we want to go down this road to increase that answer rate and response rate"?
Absolutely. That was definitely a big part of it. Not only because of the turnover that we've had in that position, but the answer rate is huge. I mean, we couldn't really track it as well as we do now with this technology, and who knows how many calls were going elsewhere or dropped calls, and just the human interaction from the BDC with a customer is really not happy about their vehicle. So that's a big part of it. Answering the calls always believes to managing that customer relationship, and also translates into profitability.
Yeah. All right. So one more question on this, then we'll go to the next topic. Lauren Klein says, how does she handle OB outbound, I would assume, declined service calls?
Sure. So the outbound initiatives, there's a template that we'll write the script for her. And then we take a template and we upload it into the dashboard. And then she'll take that and she'll reach out to the customers, for whatever calls we have on there. She'll reach out to them and make the appointments.
Yeah.
It's a manual upload.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that with us. So fixed ops is enormously important to retaining customers, growing your brand, all the things. You've implemented voice, you've got video MPIs, you've got some other technology. What's next? Like, what are you sort of thinking about as your next play to continue the increases you've seen in your department this year to date?
I think, from a group perspective, one of the initiatives that we have to always get better at is improving the service reliability. And I believe that speed leads to high customer satisfaction, especially it's crucial in a competitive market. Satisfied customers are more likely to return, and they recommend the dealership to others. So being more convenient, I think, is part of that. Implementing some of these technology things we've talked about is more efficient, makes it quicker for the customer, it's convenient. And I believe that, taking a look at our capacities and allowing more availability is going to allow us is going to keep us retaining more customers and not losing them to the aftermarket. So essentially, booking your last appointment half an hour before the business day is over and taking control of the capacities within our X-Time platform is something that we're really working on because customers want convenience. It's never about price, I believe. I think it's about treating them well and giving them the convenience that they need, and making it more efficient for them.
On that vein of convenience, have you adopted, valet service, remote service?
So some of our luxury brands have the valet service. We're investing quite a bit in mobile service right now, mostly with the domestic brands. We're starting to see that happen more and more. So, for example, one of our OEM brands, and as Genesis, they're big into pickup and delivery. So we'll go out, pick up and deliver their vehicles, have them serviced, bring it back, and we get reimbursed from manufacturer on that. So they're a step ahead. Now we're going to start to see Hyundai do this. We're going to start to see other domestic brands do that. So from the manufacturer perspective, they're starting to expect it, and it's a good investment on our end because the reimbursement rates are good and the customers like it.
Yeah,
Danny, you've got multiple OEMs that you work with as director of fixed ops. You have an interesting view, which you have the advantage of seeing OEMs that do really well in supporting you in the fixed ops department and others that are probably frustrating. Who do you see as maybe your top 2 or 3 that are committed to fixed ops that help retain those customers, bring them back in, and help you grow that revenue?
I'm going to be careful here, but based on the 24, 25 OEMs that we have, I will say that Toyota is a very big supporter of relationship. Honda is a very big supporter. I'll say Subaru is as well. And then, you have BMW, who's one of our luxury lines that I've seen some positive interaction with from the manufacturer perspective. They all have their strengths, but if I was going to say who, going into our third Toyota store, I'd have to say that Toyota's, the biggest supporter, and relationship wise, they do a really nice job.
Is there something specific that Toyota does in your world that you wish other OEMs would replicate to support you?
It's consistency. I think, the people that they put out in the field, and the relationships they build with the management team at the dealerships, they get things done. They're not concerned about selling you the next product that's available that, they feel is going to be great in your store. They're more concerned about making sure that the customer's taken care of, making sure that the quality's there, and not trying to get you in the oil program. That's, a lot more money than if you were a non-oil program, or the next platform for multi-point inspections and things like that. So I think that separates them. They have their focus on helping the dealerships and making sure that the team has the support they need to repair the cars properly, address customer concerns, and support them.
I would agree 100% with you. I think something else interesting that Toyota does is they seem to rotate their reps around a lot. And that cross-training, I think, continually sort of pushes you to think about things in a different way. So you never become so familiar with one person that you kind of reiterate the same script back and forth with each other. You can hear new ideas. They bring different sets of experience. They kind of challenge you in that area. Toyota is interesting. You also have Ford in your portfolio. We've reported here many times, #1 most recalled brand year to date this year. What do you make of that? How are you turning those lemons into lemonade and helping to deliver the best to a consumer that's in a Ford vehicle that might be recalled multiple times in a year?
So yes, definitely has its challenges. We're big Ford owners. We just closed on our fourth Ford store today. So I guess it's managing the expectation, right? Being able to, for example, recalls for Ford come out every night now. So we try to get the vehicles delivered before they come out. Managing the expectation.
Stop sell. Yeah.
Stop sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So managing expectation, being convenient, and being real with the customers. Fortunately, a lot of our business in the Ford world is heavy commercial, and the amount of recalls with heavy commercial a little bit different than your non-commercial vehicles or your medium duty. So it's managing expectation, being able to accommodate the customer, providing them with a loaner, making it convenient for them, reimbursing them for whether it's a complimentary service or a complimentary payment if they're already in the vehicle. It's not easy, but we've embraced ways to make sure that the employees are empowered to make sure the customer has a good experience if it's a challenging one, especially with the recalls. And there's a lot of them.
So you and Fixed Ops are a big partner with the used car department. I'd presume you do used car recon and whatnot. You heard the news from Dave Thomas about CarMax and their challenges this past quarter. Also, the challenge that is used car acquisition. How do you think about, as a partner to used cars right now, how are you thinking about used car reconditioning and turn time and a process there? Anything unique or interesting you're doing within your auto group to become more competitive in that used car space?
Yes, used cars have been a big part of our business this year as well. We know that the market's changed and that we need to be in the used car business. So what have we done? We've continued to build our relationship with our used car team, the sales department, being able to accommodate them and understand that, the market out there and the pricing is a little bit more aggressive than it was a couple of years ago. So providing them better pricing, being competitive so they can sell that next used vehicle and put it out on the road and not have it auctioned where it ends up another independent or a competitor of ours. So being smart about, let's work with the used car department. Let's look at the value cars that, need better pricing, provide better options in terms of parts, so they can help sell that next used car. And that's I think been important for us this year, because at the end of the day, we need to sell used cars and stay profitable and keep building our business.
Danny, last question as we go here. We appreciate you being on the show today. Technicians in any service department are one of the toughest positions to hire for. It's a super technical job. It's one that requires training, a good background, technical curiosity. Here at the Ziegler Auto Group, we just graduated a group of aspiring technicians. We do a class multiple times a year to kind of create homegrown talent. Where are you finding your best source of technicians, and what's your strategy to retain those technicians?
I love that you just brought that up, and when you said it earlier, I thought it was great. So about 3 years ago, we took a 30-year technician who wanted to get out of the business, and we made him our technician recruiter training for the group.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Brought him on board. We over the last couple of years, we've hired over 100 technicians group wide through him and his team. We've gone out to the the trade schools, have brought them in, and have had apprenticeship program in place. And we've created a McGovern University, which not only helps them with the mentorship, but also shows them the basic electrical class, the how to log into the DMS, the basic of alignment, safety, and things like that. So we've created that a couple of years ago, and we're out in the shops training them. We have a team of 9 and helping them, making sure that they're being mentored properly. In addition to that, about 3.5 years ago, we installed a technician incentive program where last year we paid up over $1.6 million to all of our technicians with some skin in the game. So the average technician got a bonus check right around the holiday season, right before Thanksgiving, anywhere that from $6,000 to $8,000, with some top earners in the $18,000 to $20,000 mark. And it's been a great retention, but we've also asked them to perform tenure, multimedia performance, and certifications. Those are all part of it. And our turnover rate in fixed has been about 21%. And I believe that's some of the lowest, compared to, national.
Yeah.
So it's really helped us, and the guys love it. So it's been a good advertising tool as well.
Are you able to, just very last question, we do have to, is there a dollar amount per technician hired that this initiative is costing you? I mean, obviously the ROI is right, but how do you think about the economics of the program?
The ROI is definitely right. And look, it's not 100%, nobody hits the top tier. So our goal is big picture. So if we can retain them longer, then it makes a lot of sense to us. So really haven't given that much process, because when I look at the payout versus what they've generated in gross, it's very minimal. And we have an owner that believes in it. So, onward and upward.
Danny, we absolutely appreciate you joining the show today. Welcome to Fixed Ops Friday, everybody. We're branding it. We need more Fixed Ops voices on our show, sharing the best practices and processes that you're doing. And you've provided a wealth of knowledge to our viewing audience. So, Danny, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Danny.
Lauren Klein, Yulee, posted, love that homemade talent. I think what a cool program and process that they have. And I love what they're doing in voice AI. I think it's interesting, as you think about, are dealers comfortable with that technology, and are they willing to turn that customer over to it? here's a real example of someone that's said yes to it. So what's your favorite moment, Yuli, from today?
Well, you know, a thought starter for me was we keep hearing the same OEMs are the ones to work with, right? And I don't have a photographic memory, but if you were to overlay new car day supply and best OEMs to work with, even on the fixed op side, I think there's a direct correlation to all of that.
Yeah. Well, congrats to McGovern on their new Toyota acquisition. That's a heck of a lot of fun, and his insights in that. And Yuli, you're right. I think there is a correlation there. So to our entire viewing audience, we've come to the end of another show on this Friday. We'll be back Monday. Thanks for watching Daily Dealer Live. We break down the biggest moves in the business as they happen. Don't forget, we're here live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. So if this is your world, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never, ever, ever miss a beat. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next episode, everybody.
See you guys.